If you get into a relationship with a woman who is involved in these professions, you're going to have a really bad time. Here are 10 professions that can ruin a woman and why it's better to steer clear. If a woman works with a constant stream of people, expect problems. If it's a female-dominated stream, meaning jobs like nail techs, lash artists, beauty salons, hairdressers, cosmetologists, then daily she's hearing dozens of women's stories about cheating, betrayal, and divorce. One's husband is an abuser, another's is just a jerk. No, such a woman won't discuss her own relationships because she simply doesn't need to. The ones who need to vent their pain and spill their dirt will be the ones to develop that topic. As a result, her psyche inevitably absorbs all this garbage. Why garbage? Because half the stories might be made up. 2 years pass, and she's no longer a sweet girl, but a container of other people's pain. She unconsciously believes all men lie, all men cheat. My husband should do X, but he never does. This isn't her experience, it's their experience, but now it lives within her, and women also love to boast. One client, for example, comes in and says, "My husband bought me a new phone." Another shows vacation photos. A third has a brand new car from the dealership. And you? You have nothing. Maybe you do, but he hasn't given you anything new in a long time, or he just can't afford it. And in her head she thinks, what has my husband ever done? Maybe I'm living the wrong kind of life. What makes me worse? In short, a woman in this situation turns into a collection of other people's tragedies, or she has a long list of stories about how to live a vibrant life. These are things that aren't happening in her life. What if a woman works with a stream of men? This could be a bar, a gym, a car dealership, or a sales consultant. What happens? Every day someone hits on her, someone asks for her number, someone invites her for coffee, and someone just undresses her with their eyes. She dreams of living just one day without anyone bothering her. But no, 10 men a day want her, 50 are shy but smile. Another 100 scan her with their eyes, wondering how to approach her. After just 3 years, she has 100 ready-made techniques in her head for how to quickly and skillfully get rid of a guy. She's a pro at this because she does it more often than you brush your teeth. This is simply a chronic excess of attention. That ends in devaluation. If a woman is told every day that she's a goddess, don't be surprised if a year later she starts looking at men as if they're paupers or servants. She'll smile, laugh, take a tip, but won't give her number. You thought you hooked her with something, but she's just doing her job. It's not beauty that corrupts a woman, but the conditions under which that beauty is noticed every day. Take a very beautiful woman in the modeling industry. She often has a fairly low self-esteem. Why? Because there are many people around her who are more beautiful. For the modeling industry, her looks aren't wow, they're just normal. Meanwhile, an average, slightly plump girl at a car dealership can have her self-esteem inflate like popcorn in a microwave, and as a result, we get a woman overheated with male attention. And these changes in a woman can happen, most dangerously, quite quickly. After a year, she no longer greets you, but does you a favor by greeting you. After 2 years, she's physically repulsed by a man without a Rolex, and after 3 years, she starts evaluating men by their usefulness. We just need to be realistic and understand that women who are spoiled by attention usually don't feel risk when breaking up, divorcing, or even cheating, because it seems to her that she can always find a better man. Her self-esteem is measured by male gazes, attention, lust. A hungry look from a guy is like an injection, dopamine. Of course, your beloved will never admit anything and will say, "I just love working with people." But if you translate that phrase from woman speak, it means, "I love being desired, but I can't say it out loud, otherwise the illusion of my modesty will disappear and you won't let me go anywhere." And if a man tries to keep such a woman at home to eliminate all these unpleasant risks, he'll simply start a timer until she flees. At home, she almost immediately goes through withdrawal. Gifts and travel, of course, might entertain her for a while, but sooner or later she'll start feeling invisible. And what will a woman accustomed to attention do in such a situation? Exactly, she'll go looking for it again. You think you've chosen the woman of your dreams. She's beautiful, vibrant, confident. She walks like a winner. Her eyes are like a predator's. But in reality, you've become the husband of a woman whose body is next to you, but emotionally, her soul is with strangers. Her heart belongs not to you, but to the crowd that likes, watches, comments, flirts, and asks for her number. She leaves the house to collect those glances, and you just completely miss it all. If a woman is a singer, actress, dancer, or any other profession that requires passion, expect trouble. These are people who live on emotional roller coasters. They feed on drama. They always need upheaval in their lives. If there's no upheaval, they create it. Breakups, cheating, arguments are simply material for inspiration, not some serious life tragedy. For most creative people, emotions are paramount in life. They don't need a calm, measured personal life. Creative people are those who are accustomed to giving in to emotions, amplifying emotions, not controlling them. And most often, this is a woman who can't just sit still and watch a river flow all day. No, her brain would go crazy from boredom. You'd have to have negative intelligence to think such a woman can calmly and without hysterics take care of children, smilingly making them porridge in the mornings. And why? Because she's bored, and she absolutely doesn't care what happens to your relationship. Whether she manages to resolve the problem she created herself or not, or if everything falls apart, it doesn't matter. What matters is that there are events, there are emotions, there is drive. Such women never take life seriously. Let's move on. Professions that involve physical contact. These are always risks. We're talking about massage, spa services, and so on. That is, when a woman provides some service to a man. Here all the side effects are clear, they are on the surface. This is a habit of physical intimacy with other bodies. Boundaries between work and something personal can become blurred. Next category. If a woman is actively involved in business, her main priority is almost always autonomy in relationships. She will never be your assistant, and if she is, she won't like it at all. One of the key reasons she needs this complete autonomy is the option, the ability to ditch her husband at any moment. That is, her bags are already packed, just 1 hour, and she's gone from home with the kids. Autonomy also improves her negotiating position during conflicts. Most often, such a woman agrees with decisions she likes and disagrees with decisions she doesn't like. Here she will argue, prove something, and dispute. And if your relationship is structured this way, it's worth considering at your leisure who is actually in charge in such a relationship. But that's not all. For such a woman, career success is more important than being a good mother and wife. That is, family is simply perceived as a secondary task. The main thing for her is to be successful. She will not fulfill the functions of a wife and mother at full capacity. In her eyes, family and children are just accessories that, preferably, should be delegated to nannies. Because she has more important things to do. Most often, such women despise housewives. This is a characteristic sign by which they can be identified, although in reality, they are simply afraid to admit that they are unable to give the love and care necessary for that role. You cannot give what is not within you. Regarding career here, it's important to clarify, of course, that there are stories where a woman works hard so her children have food. But we are discussing a different story now, where a career for a woman is simply a race of ambition. That is, she does it not for her children, but at the expense of her children, neglecting them, in pursuit of recognition and personal success. And trying to build a family with such a woman is simply some kind of misunderstanding. Next, if a woman is a psychologist, she sees herself in the role of an all-knowing mentor. In a relationship, she will sit in the judge's chair, dictating what, in her opinion, a real man should do. In the relationship, there is only one opinion. It is hers, and it is correct. Every word of hers is the ultimate truth. She will constantly find some flaws in your behavior. And if you behave badly, she might even voice some diagnosis. Such a woman seriously thinks that a psychology diploma turns her into a bearer of truth. That is, if you have a diploma, you have the right to an opinion, and if not, then shut up and keep quiet. In a relationship with her, the man will be in the position of a slacker student, and she in the role of a teacher. That is, any man who at least slightly engages with life and doesn't hide from it knows that most women who complete psychology courses are simply idiots with diplomas. They haven't helped anyone in this life, not even themselves. They couldn't arrange their own personal lives, but they are already ready to hand out recipes for family happiness everywhere, even in comments. That is, most go to study psychology not to help, but to gain power. She got a piece of paper, and now her word becomes truth. Of course, she will interpret any event in the relationship in a way that benefits her. A female athlete. Without a high level of dopamine, it's impossible to be ambitious, and when you live by victories, defeats, and achievements, your psyche, of course, gradually gets used to all this, to this dynamic. And trying to dive into family life after a turbulent sports career is the same as going to live in a monastery after a rave. That is, it's a very strong contrast. There can be no smooth transition here. Literally yesterday she was winning competitions, achieving results, and today her main victory is getting a diaper in the trash. That is, yesterday she was thinking about some records, and today she's thinking about how to potty train a child. Meanwhile, her brain still demands new doses of adrenaline, but you won't give her that. It is at this moment that arguments in the relationship begin. That is, yesterday the audience's attention was riveted on her, and today she is in visible service for her child and husband. And to somehow compensate for the loss of emotions that she experiences, she often simply starts a relationship on the side because legal ways of getting the doses of emotions, neurotransmitters, and hormones she's accustomed to, unfortunately, can no longer be obtained within the relationship. In the last 10 years, many female photographers have emerged. If a girl shoots immodest scenes, photographs women in revealing outfits, that's a very bad sign, because this is no longer just work. She is fully participating in this process. She recognizes it as normal. And by working with such women, she of course absorbs their values, and most likely she doesn't have strict moral guidelines. Therefore, when you meet a girl, you must assess how her profession might affect her. Here you need to consider why she chose this particular profession at all. This needs to be analyzed and thought about. At the same time, we must understand that all this does not work 100%. For example, if a woman works in a library, it means she's suitable, but if she works with people, then definitely not. Life is a little more complicated. The risks mentioned above are what men most often ignore and then regret. You just need to be vigilant. And what is this video for anyway? First and foremost, to demonstrate with examples you've also seen in life that the human psyche is plastic, especially in moral and behavioral terms. If we see depravity, then within 2 or 3 months we become depraved. If you start interacting with cynical people, after a few weeks, you suddenly develop dark humor. That's how it works. The most moral, spiritual person, if they end up in a brothel, will become a cynic sooner or later. The most dishonest woman in a monastery will, over time, after a month, a year, several years, start praying. This is simply a fact. It always works this way. Environment and surroundings are more important than character because character is like clay. But people think the opposite. That's the problem. Therefore, we can only become better if we create the right environment around us. And when you meet a woman, it is of course necessary to pay attention to this as well. And her profession, her job, is one of the most important indicators that will influence this in one way or another.